So today, folks, we're doing this new set. Now, as I said much earlier, we had a company decision with me heading towards retirement in January that we won't be buying any more new sets, even though we've been buying new sets since 1981. But Thunderpole have sent this for evaluation, so they've paid for it, not me. Now, as you know, we did the T800. They sent that for evaluation probably 6 months ago, 9 months ago, something like that, along with the T3000 that we use in the test vehicle. I have said on a number of occasions the only radio I have we were using the Midland 78, which was affected by temperature, and although it worked how I wanted it to work, it was affected by temperature. And we did buy a Thunderpole T3000. We've tuned quite a few on this channel as well, and they did send that one, and that's something we use in the test car, and of course we continue to thank them for that. T800 was a no adjustment set, and they wanted me to evaluate what I thought was a no adjustment set, and it wasn't far off at all. So this is a no adjustment set really, but it is software adjustable to the trade. So I've not seen this at all. There are others, but the others which are on the market will probably have different firmware. We found this with the lookalikes to the Thunderpole 3000. There's a Joe Pix one, isn't there? And when we actually looked at that, it didn't do the same seamless software, the firmware going from UK FM to CPT FM to CPT AM. It didn't do that, and it was a faff. So we've got a rubber duck with a centre load. We're going to be doing a field test. Out of the sets, the current models with the rubber ducks, there's the T100, which is the one I've currently got on my bench as a test receiver, which works fine. It's even got a diode stuck to its speaker and a bit of wire. We've got the very expensive but works well President Randy 3. There's two things I don't like about that. It doesn't have a sensible Roger Bleep on it. It's like only appeals to 14-year-old type of Roger Bleep, and the other thing is absolutely seething when it came with a 2-pin plug. So I wonder if this comes with a 2-pin plug, or if it comes with a charger at all. And you see, I haven't looked at this. And you know, when you're spending £139 to £179 for the President Randy, and you get a 2-pin plug, well, at least this comes with a 3-pin plug, doesn't it? So that was absolutely livid about that. It really just shows, just really can't be bothered. So what do we get in here? Do I get an instruction book? I don't usually, do I? I can't see an instruction book. Perhaps it's online only. What's this? A belt clippy thing. Another belt clippy thing. An instruction book. Let's put the belt clippy things back in the box. Right. So it's as flat as a pancake. It's been on in the box. They've also sent a speaker mic. These will be accessories that you can buy. So we'll have a play with that later. They've also sent a soft carry case. Might be using that on the field test, where I'd send Mr. Chippy out with the body cam. And what we're probably going to have to use right now is a 12 volt kit. Now, our experience has been that these are quite lossy, and connecting to the antenna is usually advantageous, but that's something else we're going to find out pretty shortly. Next question, if that's an in-vehicle kit, presumably you can work at 13.8 volts. Oh right, so you can choose between a bright display or a dark display. That's useful to know. Well, the battery's 7.4 volts. It says 12 volt vehicle kit, and we have to assume that that also means 13.8. But we're going to find out by powering it up at 12.4. So this looks like a positive thing. In fact, that could be the most positive connector we've seen. Cigarette lighter plugs don't work well for me because I'm not geared up for cigarette lighter plugs on the bench. But that's my fault, isn't it? So we'll put the crocodile clips onto the cigarette lighter plug, like some kind of wally, and we'll connect that to the test equipment. And chances are, when we press this power button, we'll have a light glowing. I'm just going to put 13.8 volts on. We also have a light glowing. Back to 12 volts. Yeah, right. So on UK FM, let's put it on channel 20. So our test equipment is connected via the umbilical cable. I'll switch picture in picture on. Yesterday we didn't have picture in picture. We've got a blank screen. That's because camera goodness knows what number it is. I did switch it on. It did its power up and now it's decided to go off. Must be the temperature in here. Right. It's 0 degrees out, so there's only a 500 watt electric heater on in here, and it's a big room. Okay, so we're going to go into transmit. So I can see picture in picture showing, but that doesn't mean it's going to come through. Like I can see the sound working, which also doesn't mean that it's going to come through. And then it's annoying when I have to overdub it. So right now it's doing 2.5 watts. Let's go to 13.8 volts. Now this shouldn't make any difference because if this is 7.5 volt battery, it's going to be a 7.5 volt radio, isn't it? So the power regulator in there is surely going to be turning it into 7.5 volts. So let's go to 13.8 and it shouldn't make any difference at all. And it's still 2.5 watts. So, and I would think that if I drop this to 9 volts, let's try that. So now on 9 volts. So the regulation, yeah, it's 1.5 watts. So it is expecting 12 or 13.8. So that's clinched that. There we are back at 2.5 watts, but at least it works at 9 volts. It's more or less on frequency. That's the test equipment's still warming up. It's 79109. So 2.5 watts for me. What's that mean? Battery save or something. I'll go and get a sheet of paper and we'll start writing down some parameters. Right, so what I've done is to put the test set onto the aerial jack there, because I do find the umbilical cords lossy. Let's just see what it's doing on transmit. We're still on picture in picture, we are. So we're on the 3 watt scale. Let's see what happens. Oh, that's less than 1 watt. Let's go back to the so it's a good 2.5 watts. Well, I wonder if it's, we'll come back to that. I just wonder if it's something switched in the bottom. I don't know. We'll find out. So we'll do it on the umbilical. So we're about at 3 watts, to be honest. Now we've got some. This is software addressable. I don't think there's any point in opening it up. Tell you what, we'll open it up. But I know there's no adjustments in it, I've been told. Now when we've done the Midland 42 DS, that one doesn't seem to perform as well as its predecessor, the non-DS version, the multi. I think we'll just unplug this. So we've got a 1800 milliamp hour 7.4 volt lithium ion battery. I like the way the crystal there is too big for it to fit. I just want to see what's inside this until we have a general look at the build quality, which I expect will be pretty much like the rest of the recent sets. I'm only doing this because we open up every set, not because it's what you've got to do. Oh, well, none of those came out, did they? So it looks like the front comes off. So we have a little speaker there, 16 ohms. So there's 2 gold-plated springs which mate up with the little terminals there. We've got the electret condenser mic there. What I don't want to do is to part this and damage it. I've got to be mindful there's a ribbon cable there, so it's got to go that way. That feels like it's parted from the connector. I've got the dentist at 12. So you know, it's the kind of what we used to call cell phone quality. Look at the tiny chips on the back of the display board. So it's that connector which is what holds it together. We've got a very thin cable from the top through to the bottom for the antenna, and this is proper RF cable, it's not just a bit of screen stuff. Oh, it's it's totally separate, the display. It's stuck onto the top, isn't it? So I'm holding it all carefully, and in fact there's only this. So there you go, that's what's inside. There's no point taking it any further down than that, would be silly. So carefully aligning the studs. So you can see that most of this is machine done. Not tightening these fully, so doing them at opposite sides so you don't put pressure on one point. Then we'll go through them and tighten them up a bit more. Notice the power bulge for the I think that's going to be the reference crystal there. So I did ask Thunderpole how it was adjusted. They said by software, and they said that's not something they would encourage end users to do. Yeah, the thing is, it's like that, a bit like that S Mini. Is it CRT S Mini that I bought? And I stopped the squelch working by changing a parameter. I got into a hidden menu on that set. It wasn't PC programmed. But I stopped the squelch from working, and I ended up having to buy another sample to see how it was originally set. I didn't get a switch on melody there. So I've ruined it already. Just plug into the external speaker socket and see why that didn't mate up. It looks like the earphones on the 2.5mm. Yep. No. So it just goes to show I ended up buying the second sample of the S Mini, writing down the parameters before messing with them, and then losing the squelch on that one, only to discover that you actually had to have a signal generator set for the radio to accept a change in the parameters. If you didn't have a signal generator on and connected, well, you lost squelch action altogether, so it just sat there hissing for the rest of eternity. And you know, I found out that the hard way, and this is why things like software tend to be company confidential. I can't have missed anything, can I? So I've got the springy Watsits there, just checking that they are sprung outwards. Just check that this is clean. And we'll put this on very squarely. So of course I did correct both the CRTS minis, but it wastes time, and as an end user I'm not sure that anybody, if they didn't have a signal generator, they would never get that corrected. So sometimes going into hidden menus, even when I'm supposed to know what I'm doing, the thing is, there's not manuals for most of this stuff. I've had a word with Thunderpole about this. They said there will be some circuit diagrams, which again will be company confidential, but at least there'll be something. See whether it powers up to the speaker now. Right, so sorted the speaker out, so I just needed to clean the springs. Let's just go into the Zetagi power meter and just see what the power's doing on here. It's doing 3.2, something like that, which is probably about what you expect. So it's about 2.95 on our Marconi, which only shows what's on 27 megs and not the interference, whereas a normal meter shows the interference as well. So we'd like to bring that up to about 3.5 if it's possible. Those big realistic walkie-talkies are 3.5 watts, and all the ones that say 4 watts on them are 3.5 watts, so this isn't going to be any different. Like in America, they all said 5 watts on them because they were telling you the input power. I've forgotten the serial number, but we'll come back to that. So, as it's come out of the box, we'll check CPT as well. So I'm going to put an extra box here. CEPT channel 1. So for UK, it's always going to be less power on UK than it is at the bottom end. So let's put down, I'll put down 2.8 watts there. Let's go to channel 40. .6 watts. Let's go to channel 1. 2.9 watts. See where we're going? And how do we get into CPT EU? Oh, it does AM as well. So EU channel 1 over 3 watts. It's actually 3.2 watts. Now it says it has. Let's go back to channel 20 UK. Oh, when I'm going to UK, I want to see what low power is. High low's there. It's actually 1 watt. Let's go back to full power. And the current consumption is 880 milliamps. I think the gear's warmed up enough now to let's look at the frequency. 2779106. And the deviation, well, we'll see whether this machine's playing up or whether we'll have to go on the one behind. Wallow. It's showing a bit over the top there. I'll tell you what, we will right away we'll go on the one behind. I mean, it's showing a bit too much deviation, so let's just see what I get here. Wow, it's 2.1, so my machine's playing up today. Right, so that's fine. It's not like, let's see if we can get a real big peak. Wow, I'm going to do something else. Let's see what we get on the speaker mic. Wow, it's about 2.3 with the speaker mic. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2 3 4 5 5 4 3 2 1. So to be honest, that's where it needs to be. So it's going to probably appear a tiny bit quieter on internal mic. Just go from that. Testing 1 2. I've gone and turned it off. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2 1 2. I don't think it'd be wise to alter that parameter. So internal 2.1 and 2.3 kilohertz with external. So we'll make sure we say that. So I'll just let's see whether we can get any receive as good as a Binatone 5-star. And again, we've got losses in this umbilical cord, which incidentally is where some of your RF's going. Right, 2779125. Got 100 microvolts. Is that an S meter? Yes, it is. For 100 microvolts, well, S9 is, and this isn't adjustable, 170 microvolts. There's a little, what you'd say was on the lazy side, but it really doesn't matter. So that's that. Incidentally, that probably reads relative transmit, or even while it's programmed. Oh, I'm pressing the thing instead of. Yeah, it gives it a full set of bars there. If we go to low power and we key up, it gives us a smaller set of bars. So there you go. Just for a fraction of a second, I'm going to remove the aerial just to see whether that changes. The answer is no. So it's programmed to say that rather than being a relative meter. FSD for full scale deflection. Right, we'll look at receive. So we'll go over to the synod meter. Disable the squelch. So we're in monitor mode. Switch the meter on. It does help, doesn't it? Oh, yeah, we have to plug the meter in as well. Yes, Mr. Tango. So we're going to need our 2.5mm to 3.5mm adapter because it's the small socket, not the big socket. The big socket is the microphone. I'll just put the stereo adapter in as well. So for 12 dB, we have 0.76. For 10 dB, we've got 0.66. For 20 dB, just not quite. It's 1.2. Now, again, this is all through this umbilical cord. What happens if I connect it directly to the set? I say this is always the trouble with hand portables. Trying to get a true reading without soldering wires inside. And you look at the realistics, we get, what do we get on those? Like 1.5 microvolts for 12 dB. Not because they're deaf, but because we can't actually get into them. I think we're. So let's see what we've got now. I'll tell you what, I'm going to take it off the power adapter in case that does something. So for 12 dB through the top socket, we've got 0.74. So it's about, yeah, it's about the same, isn't it? 10 dB, we've got 0.64. For 20 dB, we've got spot on the 1. So very, very slightly less lossy through the top. But you see, I'm using an adapter, so unless I was straight on with the BNC, you're up against that. Well, what does the manufacturer say that the set's supposed to do? And does it say whether we're supposed to be in EMF or PD mode? Because I'm normally reading in EMF, which is harder to achieve. Yeah, well, it says better than 0.25 microvolts. So, let's switch the test set to PD mode, which is easier to achieve, and then see what we get. And for 12 dB, we get 0.36. For 10 dB, we get 0.32. and for 20 dB we get 0.56. So it's quite clear to me that the manufacturer's actually done the test in the easier to achieve PD mode, and if you didn't have that adapter, I'm sure it does exactly what they say on the tin. Interestingly, it's 10.7, not 10.695, and the second house 450, not 455, which isn't certainly wasn't normal in the past. So it says the deviation is 1.7 to 2, and we've it was like 2.1 on its internal mic and 2.3 on the external mic. So that all fits in, but you say it's always how are they actually expressing that. So we'll go back to REMF mode. Most UK CBs are better than 0.7. Oh, the other side of this is, if we test this on CPT, it's going to be better, isn't it? So I'll tell you what, let's reset the signal generator to 27965. Let's put that back on the frequency counter. Because all these MultiNorm sets, they're going to work better on CPT than they are on UK. And those which have got internal adjustments which we can swing towards the UK, we can move that excellence up a bit usually. But sets which are programmed like this, that isn't going to be the case. No, it's going to make any difference. 2779125, we'll change that to 26965. So we want CPT, so change band, channel 1, lose the squelch, and see what we've now got. For 12 dB we've got what? 0. Actually, it isn't better. It's very marginally worse. So there you go. It isn't different. Oh, that's nice to know. So it is optimised more towards the centre of where the set performs. And then let's just go out of interest to UK channel 40. We don't normally dwell on things like this. We always do the receive on channel 20 in the centre. But I'm just interested to see how this pans out across the channels. So I'll put 2799125 into the signal generator. And let's look back at our cyanide readings for that. 0.7. So it's actually getting better as we go up the band. So to be honest, UK channels, the receiver is more sensitive than it is on the CP test as of channels, and that's something which really pleases me. But it's all it's what it says. But so they're measuring it in PD mode, and now in PD mode we're looking at 0.33 for 12 decibel cyanide. So. But we'll leave what we've put for channel 20. Squelch. That's got auto squelch as well. So let's go back to channel 20. And I notice this is it 79.95 at the moment instead of 99.95, which, you know, considering the President Randy is 179 or whatever. I think I'd rather have two of these. But we're going to see what it does on the field test. That's all well and good if it only does half a mile up the road. Most of the sets are getting to scratchy corner with these rubber ducks, and the President Randy was the only one which got us to the far bit at Rossby Level Crossing. If you want radios that do 10 miles, hand portables that will certainly do 6 miles plus. We've had 14 miles on our realistic 1001 with its 1.5 metre rubber duck. You've got to have a retro set like that, the 1005, the Binatone Long Ranger. They're the ones which are going to do more than 6 miles with the ridiculously long telescopic aerials. And if you're going backpacking and you need to talk back to base, well, those may be very inconvenient. And whereas something like this, which we found, remember these tests we do are over a difficult terrain. If you're in open country, that's going to be very, very different. We're the wrong side of a hill, and this is why we design our tests to be as difficult as possible. But these are comparison tests, so you can look at the back catalogue, see how another set performed, and think, actually, yeah, this works better than that, and so on. So I'd like this to get to Scratchy Corner, and I'd like it to get to the stage beyond, so it equaled the range of the President Randy. But there we are. I mean, you can see it's a centre-loaded rubber duck. So that's not going through the umbilical cord. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change one of the transmit parameters in the software. I mean, I'd like that to be 400 milliwatts, but the set's 1 watt, isn't it? So I don't need to be messing about like that. I just like 400 milliwatts because that was the old CB2781 requirement for low power, to be 10 decibels. But does it say what low power is in the book? High-low power. It says it's 1 watt. Well, it is. So there you go. I'm not changing it to 400 milliwatts. I'm going to go and change one of the parameters. It's software done. I'm not here to start doing engineering things, because I said with the S Mini, you put it on a computer and mess it up, and you've messed up the radio. And you're not going to be sending it back under warranty or anything like that because you've messed it up. So those who are technical will no doubt have a trade account, and there you go. But I just want to see if we can do 3.5 watts rather than just under the 3 which we're getting at the moment. So it is software controlled. It's programmed through an ordinary Kenwood type dongle like you would use for a Baofeng set. Again, it can be available from Thunderpole, and it would be up to you to ask Thunderpole for the software if you were bona fide trade, Obviously we can do optimization for people. If it works out, it may not work out. Let's go and see what happens. Right, so we're in Mr. Chippy's workshop, and I have to admit that I'm having to re-record this because I used the camcorder which we do the on-the-air test with, and erased the footage which we'd already done. So I'm using a different camcorder so it doesn't happen again. So what I want to do is just connect this to the computer to go through some of this service thing, which is not likely to be available to the end user, but I'll go through it anyway. So we've got this radio on and connect. We've put the dummy load via the Zetagi meter, which isn't too wildly inaccurate on lower powers. And what you're going to do is you're going to read the information. What's it doing?
4 watt?
Yeah. Well, it does about 3.2 on the Marconi. Right. Oh.
We'll read it.
Read it.
There we go.
And what's your parameter for transmit power?
180.
And what was it when we got the set?
About 156, I think.
Can you put 156 in it? And then we'll show...
Actually, I can load the file up because I saved it.
Of course you did, you saved it, yes.
158, yeah.
Yes, 158. So if you put that into the radio, and we'll, yeah. So now we'll key that one up.
Slightly less than it was.
Yeah.
Only slightly though.
Do you have to switch off and back on?
I don't know.
No, let's just see.
Just in case, I will.
Yeah, just to take all eventualities.
It is slightly less than it was.
Let's have a look what it says.
About 3.5.
Yeah, it's about 3 now. But our Marconi one says 3.2, so that's point is it's a 4 watt set, and our Marconi one's pretty tight as it deducts all the interference.
About 180.
As an experiment, we took it up to 205, I think, and it made absolutely no difference. You got to that point where it makes no difference.
Oops, if I
Switch the radio back on.
yeah, let's try again. Okay. So again, just in case. Yeah, it's back up to.
Yes, it's just over 4. If you, I'll just get the camera lower down. And just zoom into what that says. Right, you key that up, and that's a good 4 on that meter, but that's a Zetagi meter, but it's not wildly inaccurate. I'll tell you what we're going to do as an experiment. Here's a Midland 42. Put that on the meter. This is the DS version, which we don't find performs as well as the earlier multi version.
I'll put it on 19 so it's on
The same frequency.
Oh, it's quick up this, isn't it?
It's a faff to use.
Yep.
Right, let's see what that does when you key up. It's doing 1.5, perhaps the battery's a bit low. Right.
Or is it on low power?
Or is it on low power?
It's hard to read the screen, to be honest.
Anyway, put about 5 pairs of glasses on and see what you've got.
That's on low power
Right.
now. So it was on high power.
Yeah.
Turn it off. Yeah, I think.
Well, it's not coming up low battery, so
No.
it's not going to be that low, is it? Now, when these sets are run on 12 volts, they give more power, whereas the Thunderpole one, it's a 7.2 volt battery, so the 12 volt adapter is dropping it dramatically. On the Midland, the input voltage makes a big difference to the transmit power. Here's the capo one.
It's TNC connector.
Which is a TNC connector. I'll pause the video. Though it turns out we don't know where the TNC adapter is at the moment, which isn't surprising. So we looked at the capo also uses the TNC, and the TTI. If you unscrew that one, show that one.
It's an SMA, but it's wrong way around to what we normally have.
Yeah, so we need to get an adapter. I'll just get that in shot. There we go. It's SMA. So it would have been nice to put all of the sets on a meter at the same time. So the Midland is very sensitive to voltage changes as to what power output it does. Right, well, there we go. So I can't show the present Randy. Let's just get those all lined up. If we just put that so the camera can see the difference in size between the.
Was the air all good?
I've not got it on there. I haven't quite. It's actually the tallest one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Of that, or is it? It's about exactly the same as the President Randy. When you actually look at it, they're all about the same. I think they're all the same thickness. Okay, that TTI one's exceptionally squat, isn't it? Right, so we'll carry on with the video, which we've already done, if you can understand that. So, sorry we can't compare them all, but I just wanted to see that the Thunderpole, on our Marconi test set, it's about 3.2 watts, on CPT it's 3.1 watts on the UK set of channels, and on a hobby meter it's reading a good 4 watts, and it was about 1/4 of a watt lower than that until we made that adjustment. And it's no good people saying to me, "Oh, what number should I put in?" Because this is the whole point about it being adjustable, because it's going to differ from sample to sample because of manufacturing tolerances. So there you go. Back to the video. Right. So I've actually done the on the air test, and I've done the field test on this, and we're still not finished the servicing video. There's two things I've overlooked, and that is I need to do AM. There we go. So I'll tell you what, we'll use the speaker mic for convenience. Switch to AM, tune, press transmit. Voila. And show the right camera. Picture in picture looks like it's working. Voila, voila. Mr. Chippy reports the speaker mic's a bit tinny, but the internal one is not so bad. You've got an earphone socket on the speaker mic as well. So now you've covered the speaker hole up, which is 2.5mm. It leaves a 3.5mm hole for a earphone. So at this point. So yeah, that's like 90%, so that's absolutely fine. That's adjustable from that service software, but to be honest, we kind of, all we did was gain 1/4 watt out of it, and we kind of brought it up from 2.8 to 3.1 watts, so that's really all we achieved. So back to UK, and I don't want to do the squelch, so I'll put the attenuator control up on the inset picture. And let's see what full squelch gives us. Helps if we go to the right channel. So, squelch. We'll go to manual squelch. Perhaps you can't do that with the signal generator. Let's just try again. So we want that to, let's do the threshold one first. Oh, we've got changing channel here. I think we're changing channel. Yeah. So minimum squelch, 1. .85 microvolts. Now, I could have turned, I had it on auto squelch for the whole on the air test, and as Mr. Chippy went over Rossby Level Crossing, it just did a bit of, I could have done with it down a bit quicker, but because I didn't know how to work it quickly, I just left it as it was. So it was just when he went over the actual railway level crossing there. So, the next thing, we'll see where full squelch is. Can we wrap round on this, I wonder? No, you can't. .25, right, let's see where that is. Well, that never opens on our thing. I've not got the volume high enough. Right, we'll start that test again. Full squelch. Is 130 microvolts, which is pretty good because I'd have it at 100. That would be software adjustable as well, but I really don't need to. It does open, and that's fine. So there we are, we're done. So we'll connect it to the aerial. So it's 0.2 of a watt more on the bottom channels of CPT. It really doesn't make any difference because, you know, I've said many times those big handhelds are 3.5 watts. This is doing 3.1 for us, and we've done on the field test. It was just radio 1, but it was just there at 5.5 miles. We've never had that out of any hand portable with a rubber duck, so that is the best ever performance for a radio with a rubber duck. Right, we're on. See who's on 19. Let's go to auto squelch. I'll just turn the squelch down. You do have a monitor button as well. One nine, Roger. Bring it back with your copy. He's not going to hear me because he's going to be on a burner because he will are. I really do need the authorities round there and nobble a few. And get rid of the key bleach, by the way. Hey, it's gone quiet. Let's see what we can do with the menu. So I don't know what that shows. It looks like a... Oh, is it ketone? Yeah, I bet it is. Not sure how we get into... A Vox. Is that Roger Bleep back there? Oh yeah, display. You've got these display options. So with the frequency, either one way or the other, or without the frequency, which would suit me. I think it's better for that. For me, I think that suits me. Right, see what else we can do. I bet that is Roger Bleep, isn't it? Let's see what it sounds like on the monitor receiver. Yeah, right. Well, we'll get rid of that. Goodbye, Roger Bleep. Yeah. Good, there we have it. We're done. So, Thunderpole TX hand portable. Works absolutely fine out of the box. So there is the software we showed, but you know, it's not really going to make much difference because the way it comes is pretty well ideal. So thanks for watching. Hope you found that enjoyable. I know the next CB, unless we get one through the post, will be one out of that Lancashire box, and it'll be Consam 1320. I think we're also going to do a power supply of the Bremy variety. Thanks for watching.